Apple's new operating system, Mountain Lion, borrowed heavily from iOS, augmented reality needs some kickstarting, and 2 new iCade-compatible games today on App Judgment. This episode of App Judgment is brought to you by JackThreads. Welcome to App Judgment, your source for mobile app news and reviews. I'm David Prager.
And I'm Mauricio Balvanera, and we've been playing some games.
We have. And I'm not a video game player, but I love old school arcade games.
I'm a big fan of them too. There's been a few iOS games compatible with the iCade that you can purchase at ThinkGeek. But for the most part, a lot of them have been kind of lackluster. They don't really control well. They've just been kind of meh. I hate using that word, but I'm going to use it. Been kind of meh.
And there's a couple new good ones, right?
There's a couple good ones that are not meh. We're going to get into that in a sec, but first we got to talk about the new Apple operating system.
The new Apple operating system, it's Mountain Lion, which is from a nomenclature, more of a big upgrade from the, with Snow Leopard, Leopard to Snow Leopard. So this one, the reason it's relevant to App Judgment, I think, is because so many of the features from iOS have finally made their way over to the desktop operating system.
Right. It feels backwards, but it's actually pretty awesome to see all these functions coming over to your desktop. One of them being really deep iCloud integration. So, for example, if you use Pages on your iPad to do word processing, I know I've had this trouble before where it's difficult to get documents on and off the iPad because you have to use either iCloud or iTunes or something.
And there's over 100 million people using iCloud now, and the whole thing is as more people have these little iOS devices in their pockets, they want to be able to seamlessly use one version versus another depending on where they're sitting and where they're at. And so that's what a lot of the iCloud enables that to do.
Right. You've got a new messaging app on your desktop that it's basically iChat plus iMessage sort of rolled into one as a standalone application.
So it's basically replaces iChat. You can even do FaceTime with it.
Yeah.
And as a lot of people know, when iOS 5 came out, there was iMessage, was like this brand new thing that allows you to communicate to anyone using an iOS device minus the SMS. And now all of that functionality is basically ported over to the desktop, and it also allows you to even connect to and chat with people on AIM and Google Talk and all that.
It's going to be pretty awesome. Your Reminders app on your iPhone, on the desktop. Notification Center, the pull-down menu. You Androiders know about this too. You're going to have alerts and banners on there, kind of similar to Growl. You're going to be able to share links directly from your browser as you can.
So it's kind of like when you click on the phone and it says, send us Twitter, send us email, send to here. And speaking of Twitter, they've got like full-on native Twitter integration.
Deep integration again.
You don't even have to, it's not a Twitter client, and you don't have to download the client, but you'll be able to use the notifications on Twitter as well as be able to send everything out on Twitter and log in and use it that way.
Game Center, I think, is going to be huge. You can play Mac to iPhone games. I think this is going to be sort of the thing that really pushes developers to develop for iPad, for iPhone, and for maybe Apple TV in the future. We'll see.
Well, speaking of Apple TV, I've always liked the AirPlay, where you can take anything in iTunes as a video or a picture, and you can send it over wirelessly to a TV that's connected to the Apple TV. Well, now with this new version, you can share the entire desktop as a mirror. So that means anything you're running, you can basically use your television in your living room as a wireless display, with the exception of some tiny little weird things like HBO and a few others that want to try to opt out, which I think is stupid, but...
All right, well, we got some other cool apps here, another iOS app. We got another Android thing coming up soon. So, but Clik is an interesting app here. I just discovered this today, and it's basically a remote, a YouTube remote for your monitor. And it uses, we got video here, you point your camera at the screen, it reads a QR code, and you instantly have a remote to YouTube. You can search things, I don't know, a little novelty-ish, right?
I think it's a little bit of a novelty. I can see maybe if you're sitting on your couch, you've got your computer, and you want to be able to, have more of a lean-back experience while you're sitting there and not have to be messing with the computer. It's cool. I think what's better than the novelty, though, is that they've released an SDK, which allows other developers to conceive of and think of new ways to be able to control something through another device. Basically, I'm pretty sure it's sending something to a server, back down to the computer, up and back down. But, it's it's these novelty things that turn out to be catalysts for innovating new ideas. And so that's the part that I think is cool about it.
Aside from the novelty of it, though, it is really freaking cool to see it initially sync up.
Because it's like magic.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Speaking of magic, this video has been floating around since 2009. It's a game called ARhrrrr. It's an augmented reality concept from Georgia Tech and SCAD Atlanta. This is a developer device from NVIDIA, and they're basically just pointing the camera at this pad on the table, and it's creating dynamically these buildings,
a little
and
3D
zombies,
city.
and 3D city. Well, I shouldn't say
And
dynamically.
and your iPhone is like as if you're the helicopter flying over, and you can shoot at things.
So cool.
And the video,
so
of course,
cool.
is from 2009.
Yes.
So why is it resurfaced?
So I dug into this a little bit. It's been getting kicked around just because we've talked about this before on App Judgment, but Tim Schafer of Double Fine, he's a game developer, managed to raise over $1 million in 24 hours through Kickstarter. And I think a few people realize these guys basically put it in the comments on their website saying, "Sorry guys, we ran out of money. The university can't fund this anymore." So now everyone's going to the page and saying, "Look what Tim Schafer did."
Yeah, and Kickstarter is basically a way to crowdfund a creative project.
Right.
And so what these guys did in 2009 is show off an amazing project, and then people like us see it, realize how amazing it is, want to use it, and they're saying, "Hey, look, I will donate some money so that you guys can develop the rest of that game or that project."
I totally would.
Yep.
I would kick money into that. I kicked money into Tim Schafer's project. I will kick money into this.
So you guys put this up on Kickstarter. We will send money.
All right, we're gonna check out these 2 games on the iCade, but first let's thank our sponsor. Only suckers pay full price, and if you love alternative apparel brands like Kid Robot, Hurley, Stussy, but hate wasting all your cash on them, listen up. You can score premium brands at up to 80% off every day.
And there's a new invite-only shopping club just for guys called Jack Threads, serving up street, skate, and surfwear brands at prices that will melt your brain. Now, there's a wait list to join.
There is a wait list.
There is a wait list. But, if you watch this show and you go to jackthreads.com/appjudgment, you'll get instant access to get all of the killer hookups. Get there now.
Yes, I actually bought a couple jackets from there pretty recently. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
And get there fast. All right, so we got a couple games here. Let me just switch it up here. You guys remember League of Evil? It's an awesome platformer game that actually was one of the best. Okay, so one of the problems that I've had with platformers is control. You usually want to, we're used to doing the 8-bit controller where you have very precise controls. Super Meat Boy, you're sitting there kind of relying on your controller to get you through the level. That's always been a problem with touchscreens, I think. League of Evil did a really good job of giving you really good controls, and now they've come out with part 2. And speaking of controls, it is compatible with the iCade from ThinkGeek. What did you think of this game?
I like a lot of the side-scroll. It's not only side-scrolling, but the platformer games. I like playing them a lot. The controls on the iCade are really good, and the controls actually on the iPhone are pretty decent. I think it's pretty fun because you've got the ability to jump in the air. You've got the ability to jump sideways off of walls. So there's a lot of elements that you have to deal with, hazards that are on the ground and such. But there's creative ways to get around them.
And
you start habituating the ways that you can do it. And the fact that you can manipulate the controls so well in the iCade make it fun to be able to go from level to level and treat it like different little projects to get to things.
Yeah.
And the goal in this game of, again, the plot's not the best, but basically you got to kill an evil scientist.
Yeah.
And on the way to
kill an evil scientist every single
level. And on the way there, if you pick up a suitcase, you get bonus points. And that's pretty much it. That's it.
It's very basic. It's very bloody, cartoonish blood, of course. See that?
Yep.
And it feels, I mentioned Super Meat Boy, it feels like Super Meat Boy, because I think really what you're trying to do is get through the level as fast as possible. And if you fail, it starts you back up right away.
And I haven't seen too much complexity. There's no weapons. You basically can slide and punch, and you can jump like crazy, and you can dodge people with bullets, and then you have to worry about obstacles on the walls and stuff like that.
Right. What'd you think of this game? Is it?
I liked it. To me, it kind of just reminded me of something I might have played about 10 years ago, like a Commander Keen. I don't know if you guys remember that. But it's easy to create, the processing power required for this is nothing. So as long as you have an idea for something and, kind of something that, toys with your, what is it, the serotonin release by having you, move a little guy around
scientific.
and interface with an environment, it can be fun.
Sure.
So what's the next game?
All right, we got, I kind of thought it was okay, especially after downloading Super Crate Box. Now this was a sort of a big indie hit. I know Anthony Carboni has covered it in Bytejacker. It just came out for iOS, and it is compatible with the iCade. And this game is freaking amazing.
And your goal here is to basically pick up as many crates as you can.
Yeah,
you don't get points
to shoot the enemy.
You don't get points for shooting the enemy. You just pick up as many crates as possible, and every time you get a crate, your weapon changes. And it can go from a minigun to a katana to a flamethrower, and you just have to deal with whatever weapon you have. And you basically avoid the bad guys and pick up the boxes. I think this game is almost unplayable without the iCade.
Did you have a problem with it
I played it first on the iCade, and it took me a little while to get used to it because you start muscle memory on how to operate the game.
Sure.
And then I went to on the phone, and it was a smaller display, and I was like, I don't like this. I want to play it on an iPad, and I want to play it with this iCade. But the other thing I think is that this game, I'm guessing, I mean, it'd have to be coded very differently, but I think you could play this on the Atari 2600. It looks like that kind of game. The graphics do even.
You said you're bothered by the graphics.
I feel the graphics are cute, but I think they tried too hard to make it 8-bit looking.
So you think like the 8-bit thing is too gimmicky?
If the resolution was a little better, why not? Why not?
I'd love to have Anthony here to.
I know he'd hate it, but Anthony's a hipster.
so 8-bit is hipster now, right?
Oh, totally. It's moved beyond that. I think we're past that phase.
Okay.
I think these guys were. I don't know. No, I mean, this game is more fun to play.
There's my favorite weapon here, by the way.
Than Legion of Evil. I mean,
it is more fun to play. Absolutely. Harry, you want to give it a shot?
No, but it's more fun to play. It's great. It's fantastic. But the graphics, it's all right.
Okay. League of Evil. I'm gonna say. It's a download. It's worth a download. Super Crate Box, absolutely download. Freaking download it now. You don't need the iCade really. I think it's going to work fine without it. By the way, ThinkGeek is releasing a sort of a NES 8-bit style controller, sort of a rectangle. That should be coming out soon. But let us know what you think. appjudgment@revision3.com. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Crosswalk. Join our community at crosswalk /join/appjudgment. That's crosswalk wa.lk.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Check it out. All right, see you guys.